I have a fondness for weird little guys in fiction. Anything that comes under the category of horrid little creature who loves trinkets and gadgets is fine by me, and if they've got a funny way of speaking, then that only boosts their ranking in my mind. It's probably no surprise to you then that the Skaven rank up there among my favourite races, factions, whatever you want to call them, of Warhammer Fantasy battles, and even Age of Sigmar, though admittedly I know a lot less about that latter setting, so we're going to stick with the stories of the old world for as long as we can. Before you go and type that comment about how the Skaven suck or jump off the video because you only accidentally clicked on it in the first place, could you do me a favour and give me a like, comment, or even subscribe? I'd really appreciate that. Right, back to it. The Skaven are a small race of bipedal, rat-human hybrids. They are the most populous species in the old world, with a massive under-empire that spans entire continents, even has huge hubs underneath the capitals of the world, essentially acting as a dark twist on the original city, but just filled with rat people, such as the Skaven settlement underneath the empire capital of Altdorf, which is the second largest city in all of the Under-Empire, and boasts hundreds of thousands of the little rat boys scuttling around day and night, ready to stab unsuspecting Empire citizens when they take a dump. The Skaven come in a lot of different shapes and sizes, with the bigger ones often having black fur and serving as the elite troops of the race's armies, while the smaller, naked creatures often become its slaves. Brown-furred Skaven are your usual bunch, often filling out menial roles as clan rats, while white-furred Skaven are the elite of the elite, often rising to the top of society. In Warhammer Fantasy, the Skaven are everywhere. Play any Total War Warhammer campaign and you'll know what I'm talking about, as any empty settlement you try and colonise will immediately have a million rats throwing all they can at you. While the rats have infested every corner of the old world at this point, no one really knows when they started, and the origins of the Skaven are shrouded in mystery. Some think they are an offshoot of the Beastmen race, but the rat boys don't hold any fondness for the cowmen, so I'm not too sure about that one. Today, well, not today, but in Warhammer Fantasy times before the world got blown up, the Skaven are spread far and wide, but they do have some form of central leadership in the Council of 13. This council is comprised of 12 of the most powerful Skaven clan lords, with the 13th spot being left empty for the Skaven god, the Horned Rat. There is a slew of internal politics associated with the council, such as the 12th and 1st seats being the most important across the entire body, but its main role is to rule over all Skaven and give them a general sense of purpose. The Horned Rat decreed that all Skaven must obey the council, and so really they're the only established form of power in the whole race. They're also given gifts by their Horned God, having much longer lifespans than most, stretching out over hundreds of years. What does any of this have to do with me liking the Skaven, you say? Well, not much in reality, but I just thought it'd be best to drop a bit of background on you. I do like how the Skaven can just pop up everywhere. They are the ultimate villain in that sense, in that if you ever need a bad guy to just pop up, the Skaven are always waiting underground. Like the orcs in Warhammer 40k, they're so far spread it's impossible to wipe them out entirely as well, making them consistent. Also, their motivations aren't like that of Chaos, where the Chaos factions want to see an end to order and just blow up the world for the sake of it. Kind of like humanity, the Skaven just want the superiority of their own race, but they're evil because they're rats. And they do worship a heinous god in fairness. However, despite their numbers and their want to rule the world above ground, the Skaven constantly thwart themselves due to infighting. All ratmen may be united under the name Skaven, and they might have to follow the council's whims, but even those in the same clan are known to turn on each other the minute there appears to be a back perfect for stabbing. All Skaven want power, but they only want it for themselves and sometimes their clan. It is extremely rare to see a group of plague monks from Clan Pestilens fighting alongside the warlock engineers of Clan Scryer without the Council of 13 ordering it. While a lot of other races in Warhammer Fantasy love infighting, namely the Orcs, and the Beastmen, and Chaos, the Skaven are practically running their own version of a Total War campaign underneath the world, never getting the chance to realise how unbeatable they'd be if united. There have been multiple Skaven civil wars over the years, and even the members of the Council of 13 are constantly playing political games to put themselves in the Horned Rat's favour. Personally, I love the fact that the Skaven can't keep it together for 5 minutes as a race, and are constantly working on tricks to undermine the other clans and keep themselves in favour with their god. It means that nothing is ever really predictable with them, and they constantly make interesting scenarios. Perhaps what causes a lot of these schisms between the Skaven is in the diversity of its clans. You really do get some of the best of Warhammer Fantasy's weird and wacky bits in the Skaven, as you can find anything from a literal Gatling gun to a giant abomination that would put Dr. Frankenstein to shame, all in the same army. The diversity is unique to the Skaven, as rather than give them the vibe of the horrid mutated plague rats, or clever tinkerers, or dark assassins, Games Workshop decided to make the Skaven all of these things and more. As a Skaven enjoyer, you really do get a bit of everything, but all the Ratmen do share some features, such as being disgusting and the aforementioned trust issues. As well as being little scamps with a ton of different hobbies, the Skaven also make for some of the most diverse and unique characters in the Warhammer Fantasy setting. Looking at the key figures in Skaven history, you really get a mixed bag, whereas if you look at, say, the Empire, you're usually getting stoic human riding a horse or griffin, and potentially wielding a warhammer. The Elves are similar, as you've got stoic human with pointed ears in the High Elves, sadistic e-girl or e-boy in the Dark Elves, and your average vegan for the Woodfellas. Looking at the Skaven though, yeah, you could say they're all manic rats that speak funny, but by just cracking the surface, you see that they each have unique personalities and quirks that really make them shine. Throt the Unclean, for example, is a completely different rat from Ikit Claw, despite them both being Skaven that are obsessed with creation. Throt is of Clan Moulder, best known for creating monsters of Hell Pit, like rat ogres, wolf rats, and abominations, whereas Ikit Claw can make a nuclear bomb. Their aesthetics are also pretty different, with Throt full of warpstone, while Ikit wears an almost sci-fi set of armour. Speaking of warpstone, that is another reason why Skaven are top tier lads. Of course, the warpstone allows them to create incredible technology that even rivals the Lizardmen's laser weapons, but it also makes them all crack addicts, which is just kinda hilarious. You see, warpstone to a Skaven is like heroin to, well, anyone really. They crave gnawing on the stuff, which makes for a pretty interesting dynamic when it is also their main power source. It's like if humans could sniff up uranium. The fact that the vast majority of Skaven are crack addicts makes for some great shenanigans throughout the Warhammer world, making the Rat Boys have some of the setting's most comedic moments. Also, their speech patterns just lend naturally to comedy, repeating certain words or having great combinations for their phrases like stab kill, run flee, or the iconic yes yes. The Skaven are prone to vast amounts of whimsical shenanigans, getting up to cartoonish misadventures whenever the end times doesn't need them to be overpowered and kill everything. Take the time when they accidentally call the Eldar using Lizardmen technology, or just the character of Thanquol in general. Thanquol is a horned rat, and these guys are said to be the wisest and most powerful among the Skaven race, as they're able to use magic. However, in the Gotrek and Felix books, Thanquol is more of a Saturday morning cartoon villain, being thwarted partly due to the heroes, but also because his schemes are far too grand to ever succeed. While you may look at this and think the Skaven are a bit too silly for your liking, there are plenty of serious rats that have enough edge to cut through, well, I don't know, something really thick, I guess. Deathmaster Snitch is an assassin unrivaled in the Warhammer universe, and has killed some incredibly powerful characters, including Slan Mage Priests and Thorin Grudgebearer. There's also Creek Headtaker, who again pushes the boundaries of wacky Skaven stereotypes by having the skulls of his enemies on his back, who speak to him and slowly drive him mad. Queek has also proven himself in combat, having beaten Belagar Ironhammer in a duel and defeated Skarsnik in open battle. Also, if you're still not convinced by individual Skaven proving the race can have more than just gag characters, the sheer amount of rat boys in the world constantly means they're a threat to the surface dwellers, and thanks to their under-empire, they can pop up anywhere. Due to this constant potential rat invasion, the Skaven remain possibly the biggest enemy to the world, besides the Chaos Gods. I mean, just look at the end times. I know that some people say the rats are a bit too overpowered here, but really all Games Workshop did was show how strong they'd be if fully united behind a common goal. They did most of the heavy lifting to ensure the world was ripe for blowing up, taking out the lizardmen, dwarves, and border princes. Basically, what I'm saying here is that the Skaven pretty much encompass everything about Warhammer. They are the silliness that fantasy can exude with its rats on wheels, goblins high on psychedelics, and halflings using kitchenware as siege equipment. They also encompass some of the darkest parts of the setting, and we all know how much Warhammer loves to be grimdark. The society is built on vast amounts of slavery, and they have horrible methods of torturing and killing the surface dwellers above them. Moreover, their horned rat is one of the more interesting and mysterious beings of the entire Warhammer setting, and combined with the Skaven's unknown origins, this gives them a sense of mystery that just begs players and those into the lore to find out more. Of course, there's also a roster of horrible and yet strangely lovable rat men on the Skaven army list too. From the naked slaves to the individual lords and generals that managed to fit 100 years of living into their short lifespans. So yeah, I think the Skaven are pretty great. It's a shame they don't play as big a role in Age of Sigmar, but they're still around, and there's plenty of time for them to make a splash in the Mortal Realms as well. Know any other Warhammer races that can be considered the best? Tell me about them, and I might make a video. Until then though, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.